Tommy Boyd.
So it's D-Day minus whatever it is, 2 days, and I'm here to ask you to choose us for the World Cup. If you're driving around at the moment, then you'll be driving around on Wednesday. You'll be driving around for a lot of the action on the World Cup, and our pledge is that we're going to do it better than anybody else. And I honestly believe that we will, for lots of reasons. There'll be no interruptions during the game. Somebody said to me, will you be playing those commercials during the game? No. No, it's football, football, football. Okay? And our team is the best, you know? I'm not going to name names, because I'd forget 2 people, and then they'd say, but I want you to make it us. And if you're watching on the television, try what I've started doing, because it works big time, and that is getting rid of the television commentary, because I find the television commentary very annoying. It's a succession of names. Would you read the telephone directory? No. And that's all you get on television. Jones, Smith, inside the blogs. This is Henderson. Smith again. What do you want to know that for? If a bloke was sitting next to you at a football match saying things like that, you say, shut up, and listen to the radio. Have the TV on, sound down, radio up, okay? Because we want to find out what you're thinking about the way things are going at half-time, and then as well, of course, after the game. The number is free call 0500 10 53 89. Something occurred to me over the weekend, and the more I had it researched, it was a snap decision to go with this project today. So we only had 48 hours to do our investigating, but we realised pretty quickly we were onto something. Free call 0500 10 53 89. The reason that the English are not going to win the World Cup, but the Scots are going to do better than a lot of people suspect, is simple. It's very straightforward. The Scots are a tribe. They will play together as a tribe, okay? It's why the Welsh can, when their gander is up, punch way above their weight, because they are a tribe, and they play as a tribe. The simple, crucial problem with England as a country, and English football as a sport, is that England is made up of about 6 different flipping tribes, and they don't talk to each other. It's like the Dutch, where the Surinamese and the white Dutch players sit at separate tables and will not talk to each other. They don't even use the same language, apparently. Well, the English are exactly the same. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Don't call straight away. You need to let this one sink in. It's a simple fact. If you know your football, and you can go back to 1990, when England got to the semi-finals of the World Cup, when they were managed by Bobby Robson, a Geordie, that team was not an English team. That team represented one of England's proudest tribes, the Geordies. Think about it. Bobby Robson, the manager. Brian Robson, the captain, Geordie. Paul Gascoigne, Geordie. Peter Beardsley, Geordie. Chris Waddle, Geordie. Trevor Stephen, also, did you know, well, North East, almost a Geordie. There was not one Southerner. Just one London boy, actually, Stuart Pearce. The rest of them were all flat caps. And the team did very well. And part of the reason for that is because they could all communicate with each other, because they were all from the same tribe, okay? That was when we had a flat-cap Geordie as the England manager. Now, we've got a soft Southerner as the England manager. And Glenn Hoddle is the absolute epitome of metropolitan man. Okay? Glenn Hoddle is a man who's comfortable with a plate of pasta. He is comfortable with a glass of mineral water. He is comfortable with the laying on of hands. This is not the behaviour you would associate with your typical northern person. It isn't, I'm sorry, it isn't. It gets laughed at north of Watford. But do any of his stalwarts come from north of Watford? You see, this is my point. Unconsciously or consciously, Glenn Hoddle has chosen a team after his own design. He's got soft Southerners. He's packed out the England squad with soft Southerners. He has. Think about it. You run right through the spine of his team. We'll put Alan Shearer to one side because he'd pick himself in any team. But where Glenn Hoddle had leeway, Tony Adams, soft Southerner. Gareth Southgate, Southern boy. Sol Campbell, Metropolitan Southerner. Paul Ince, Metropolitan Southerner. David Beckham, the archetypal soft Southerner, with his sarong and his bleached hair. For goodness sake, would you get away with that in Geordie land? I don't think so. Sorry. Teddy Sheringham. Look at the fringe players on the England squad. Glenn Hoddle said no thanks very much indeed, because the choice was his, to Paul Gascoigne, Dublin, Hinchcliffe, Neville, but Northerners. He said yes please to all the metropolitan southern fringe players. Ferdinand, both the Ferdinand boys, Rob Lee. Nobody thought Rob Lee would make the final 22. Soft southerner. Paul Merson. I was very surprised. Paul Merson, goodness me. Room for Paul Merson, none for Paul Gascoigne. Merson in, no Letitia. Paul Merson, soft, metropolitan, London boy. You see, whether he knows it or not, Glenn Hoddle has picked a team of soft southerners because the north-south divide is one crucial factor when it comes to the England manager picking the players who are going to play underneath him, because we are not one country, England, we are at least two, and if you want to get your sociology book out, you can probably think of 6 or 7 little Englands, right? And the people who come from different parts of Little England, the people who belong to different tribes in Little England, are virtually unable to communicate constructively with representatives of other tribes. So, the tribe that very nearly won the World Cup for England in 1990 was the Geordies, and the tribe that may or may not win the World Cup for England in 1998 is, bless them, the Cockney's. What should our World Cup song be going into France 98? Any old iron, any old iron, any old iron. Free call 0500 10 53 89. And which tribe are you in? I mean, are you a nomad like me? Because I've been all over. Come from all over. Right? But are you Welsh? Then tell us what it feels like to be in a tribe. Because the pride that you feel in the achievement or otherwise of every single Welsh exploit, Welsh individual, is something that the English will never know. And ditto the Scot. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd, this is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Free call 0500 1053 89. Free call 0500 1053 89 now.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not been in any of the papers or anything yet. It's staring you in the face. Danny Baker, if you saw him on television all over the weekend, I thought he did a fantastic job. Stitched up all those lovies superbly. Well done, Danny. I mean, it's him against the rest of the world, but I made it about 3-1. His point is that a lot of the selections and the decisions are made based on class, but I suspect that there's the geographic aspect of who gets to play for England in this World Cup and who does not, and culture as well, plays as big a part, if not a bigger part. Free call 0500 10 53 89. So it's the Cockneys who are off to try and win the World Cup in France. Adam calls from Essex. Adam, you're on Talk Radio. Or maybe it's the Essex boys, I don't know.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Hello, Adam.
We're not going to win, basically.
No, we're certainly not going to win, but anyway. Why not? That's the question.
Well, if you look at the best teams that have won the World Cup, they're always an incredible unit, aren't they? They're compact and there's like a team unit, a dedication, like Germany or Brazil 70 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And in England, we just haven't got that, like you're seeing with Gaza and Sheringham recently. It's just like no unification, really, is there? Mm.
Adam, thanks for your call. Cliff is next, calling from London. Cliff, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Tommy, I can't believe you.
What?
You reckon, like, the Southerners are soft and the Geordies are all this and that. Well, Charlton's just beaten Sunderland in the playoffs. Arsenal beat Newcastle in the cup final. Chelsea's won, 2 cups this season. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, but the two things don't actually overlap at all, Cliff.
What do you mean?
Well, yes, London occasionally wins a few things, no problems there.
Well, we've won everything this season.
But that's not what I'm focusing on, is it? I mean, it's very short-sighted of you to concentrate just on that. Had you noticed that Glenn Hoddle has simply picked men after his own ilk to play for England in this World Cup? Had you noticed that?
Don't you think it takes a strong character to get a Gascoigne out of the squad?
Had you noticed it, Cliff?
What?
What I've been telling you.
After his own ilk?
Yes.
But surely Londoners are winners this season.
Had you noticed it?
In a way, yeah, but
no, you hadn't.
You pick winners.
No, you hadn't.
Well, you've got the nucleus of the
You hadn't noticed it.
Well, no, I haven't, so you pointed it out.
Well, I'm sorry, if the conversation is going to be as laboured as this, then I'll have to move on.
Yeah, but hang on a sec.
Now that you've noticed it, why don't you stop and think about it?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they can't win.
Why don't you stop and think about it?
Yeah, but your argument is that you're saying we're Southern softies and we've got no bonding in the team, therefore we've got no, real chance of winning.
That isn't my point.
Yeah.
Don't tell me my point is wrong if you don't understand my point.
Right, what's your point then?
Well, why weren't you listening?
Well, because I only caught the latter part of it and it angered me a bit. So if you
Good.
can...
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Because if a Northerner was the manager of this team, there'd be 22 entirely different men going off to play in the World Cup. Now then, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. It is, isn't it?
I can't really understand. Surely you're talking about winners and losers here.
No, I'm talking about cultural affinity here. Can you stay with this?
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Don't you think it's surprising that of the 6 men who were sent home from the 28 fit ones,
Yeah.
5 of them were Northerners, and the 4 fringe players who he retained were all metropolitan Londoners?
Yeah, but you've got to have a point to it. What are you saying? I mean, are you saying that we're less likely to win with
No, I'm
Southerners in
saying
the side?
I'm saying that Glenn is more comfortable with people with in the company of people from whose cultural background is similar to his.
And that cultural background, we've got less chance of winning with.
No, not at all. That's your point, and I'm not making that point. So if you want to disagree, you're going to have to disagree with yourself.
But you're saying that in 1990, the team that got so near to winning the cup was Geordie based.
Yes.
And in a way, you're then saying that people of Glenn Hoddle's ilk who like to eat pasta and, drink mineral water have not got it in their hearts to go out there and win.
No.
Well, that's what it sounded like to me, and if I've misread you, then I'm sorry.
You're just about as good at listening as you are at talking, to be honest, mate.
Oh, thanks very much.
Well, you've just heard something...
Well, I'll tell you what, Tommy.
I'll tell you what. Let today be the day when you got your head round a new way of looking at something that you thought you knew all about. Go away and think about it, and come back...
I know my football, and I know that we're going to win the World Cup and bring it home, full of Southerners or not. We won the FA Cup. We won
Cliff.
the Cup Winners' Cup. We won the...
Don't be a plonker all your life, Cliff. Come on, wake up. Smell the coffee. There's more to it than simply going, we're going to win the World Cup and bring it back. Oh, Johnny Foreigner's going to get his butt kicked. There's a lot more interesting aspects of that are worth thinking about. I mean, have you got a brain at all or what?
I've got a very, very sharp brain.
No, you haven't. You're a pudding.
And I know my football.
Yeah, no, you don't. Steve,
I know you as well, and I know you twist everyone's arguments around.
You haven't got one. You haven't got the brains of an argument. Steve in Birmingham wants to tell you off better than I ever could, Cliff. So, Steve in Birmingham, you're through to Cliff.
Cliff, it's Steve in Birmingham. These teams you're on about, the Chelseas and the Arsenals and all that, they're made up of bleeding foreigners.
Yeah, I know. All right. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, that is a very good point. But my argument is that it doesn't matter whether you're Newcastle, Mancunians, or whatever. The team bonds together. And it doesn't matter whether you're coming from Newcastle...
Yeah, but it's managed by foreigners and played by foreigners. How can you say that the Southerners are bleeding...
team because some are Geordies and some are Cockneys. That's rubbish. If you're playing for England, mate, it don't matter who you're there with.
Tommy's point is that the Southern Southerners, the soft Southerners,
what about the Cheltenham
well in the World Cup, because that's correct.
Smashed Sunderland at Wembley. They wasn't soft, was they?
No, listen, you're talking about Chelsea and Arsenal and brilliant they've done this season and all the rest of it. They're all foreigners. So that's the argument completely out the window.
But look at Newcastle then, Ginola and all the rest of the foreigners in their team. It's all around football.
Oh, sorry, but I'm bored with this conversation now. I don't know about you. You've got 2 men here, it's gone zoom right over their heads. Zoom. Zoom. It's gone 6 feet over their heads, the both of them. Hasn't it? Hey? My point is this. We learn about life in the playground, not in the classroom when we're small. We learn about life in the playground. And what do we do in the playground? We form gangs, we form groups for our own protection and for our own advancement. And broadly speaking, we pick friends for our gang, whether we're boys or girls, who are a bit like us. And territory plays a big part in it as well, because if there are 3 people who live in the same street as you'll actually forgive them certain cultural differences because they've got the right territory. Okay. All right, that's easy. We all know that. It's happening now with your children, isn't it? Okay. But should it really be happening? Should it really be a big factor in the selection of the 22 men who are going to go to France and play under Glenn Hoddle to play for England? It doesn't happen in Scotland. In Scotland, the clans are alive, and they know when to combine and they know when to stand alone. Tribal behaviour is understood and is part of the modern Scotland, and ditto in Wales. But the English... bless them, bless us. We'll never get our heads round it. And the simple fact of the matter is, I suspect, that Glenn Hoddle simply found it so impossible to communicate with Paul Gascoigne because of the cultural and geographical and tribal divide, that whether he was fit as a butcher's dog or as fit as the what's-its-name dough man, he was out of the squad. Because whatever it was that Glenn wanted him to do, and however he wanted him to play the game, the communication couldn't happen. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Dearest Papa, I'm sorry for what happened at the wedding, but I could not...
Boyd. Free call 0500 10 53 89.
Talking about the tribes of Britain. Alan calls from Newport. You're on Talk Radio, Alan. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy. Yeah,
Hello.
Yeah. The only reason why England won't progress in the World Cup really is because there's a lack of talent.
Oh, what is that it then? Do I have to do the rest of it?
No. Well, the reason is that the problem is that it's the league structure you see at the moment. They seem to be, the Premier League seems to be sort of based on the southern areas, really, isn't it? Mostly around the Midlands area, southern England. That's the problem.
I don't get that last bit, sir.
Issue like the top teams in the Premier League are all southern-based. There's very few northern teams, if you like, who are, and most of the players that they actually have are foreign players, aren't they, really? So if they play for any country, they're playing for their own countries rather than England. That's the problem.
No, I don't think that's the problem.
You don't think so?
No, the problem we're talking about today is the fact that Glenn Hoddle has consciously or unconsciously used geography and the tribe to which a player belongs to influence his decision about which 22 he takes to France. That's the problem we're talking about today.
Yes. I think, his decision to actually base it on, his sort of southern tribe, if you like, is the wrong one, really. It should be based on team...
No, but I don't think he made a decision. I think he did it unconsciously.
You think he did it deliberately?
No, I think he did it unconsciously.
Oh, unconsciously, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, without thinking, yeah.
Yes.
I think that's a great pity, really. You know, it means, maybe they do it in Wales, actually. I don't know.
No, I don't think so, because I don't think, apart from North and South and Central Wales, and I've never heard of any enmity between those three regions.
Oh, there's been all rivalry between North and South Wales.
Well, I think, yes, the Welsh see themselves as being one tribe.
Oh, no. If you go to North Wales and you say you're from South Wales and you speak Welsh, they don't like you.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Bill calls from Swindon. You're on Talk Radio. Bill, good afternoon.
You've confused me now, Tommy.
Excellent.
I think you're wrong, and I think that Glenn Hoddle's got the team he wants, and they're going to win the World Cup.
Well...
And where does Shearer fit in, then?
Of course he's got the team he wants. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah,
he's got the team he wants.
Where does Shearer fit in, then, Tommy?
Well, let's come back to that after we've discussed the fact that he's got the team he wants.
Yeah, he's got the team he wants. So did Sir Alf Ramsey.
Yes.
And he had a mixture, too, you know.
Bill...
Yeah.
They get the team they want.
Yes.
Yes, always.
No, they don't always.
Oh, don't they? Who explain.
Well, I think Bobby Charlton, Jack Charlton, and Bobby Moore were kept on too long after 1966. Paul Gascoigne, I'm afraid, is yesterday's man.
No, I'm only making one point, Bill. Stay with me.
Yes.
They get the team they want because they get to pick the team.
Yeah, you say he's a southerner, so he's picking southerners.
Yes.
But where does Shearer fit in, then?
Well, as I said earlier on, obviously he's not going to pick all southerners. That would look stupid even to him, especially if one of them would pick himself into any squad in the world.
I'll tell you what, you've convinced me to think England are going to win the World Cup this time.
Well, you go and have a bet with me on that then, Bill. I'll give you 10 to 1. How much are you having?
I'll have a fiver that England will win the World Cup.
Bill, a fiver's not a bet, man. If you're
It is for me, because I don't earn the money you do.
Bill, if you're going to bet.
No, that is a bet.
That's not a bet.
What is it then?
I don't deal in the fiver.
What do you deal in?
Sorry. Make it 100.
Oh, no. You see, I don't earn that sort of money, and I can't afford to bet any more than that.
No, I've just flushed you out, that's all.
Tommy, I'll see you.
Bonkers. It's lovely to see what comes out of the undergrowth, isn't it, once you start talking about footy. Free call 0500 10 53 89 is the number. And we're discussing the possibility that whether he knows it or not, Glenn Hoddle has chosen, wherever possible, men like him to take to France. And it can happen. Dave Sexton it was, the former Chelsea and Manchester United manager, who said that, generally speaking, teams display the characteristics that the managers have but do not know they have when they play their games. It's 3:30, and here's the sport with Dave Roberts.
The Talk Radio World Cup commitment with the Times World Cup Fantasy League. Under the skin of sport.
I'm Dave Roberts with the World Cup latest. England have completed their final trip.
The Talk Radio commitment. World Cup.
Talk to Tommy Boyds. Free call 0500 1053 89.
Tom calls the programme from London, but we'll speak to him after Bernard. Bernard, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Bernard.
Yep. Hello.
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 Tommy, sorry, I'm just a little bit nervous.
No problem.
It's the first time. You said it's to do with tribe. That Glenn Hoddle picked his team. The team he's comfortable with. The word comfortable is not very, very appropriate in this case. We're talking about football here. You pick your team regarding on the performance of your players during the season. It's nothing to do with the tribe, and you try to make it up by saying he did it unconsciously, which is not true.
Might be. Might cause you to think about something you never thought about before, Bernard. But that's no hardship, is it? I love thinking.
No. He chose his team.
Yes.
Comparing with the performance of his players during the season.
No.
And these are the best 22. He thinks can make it to the World Cup.
We know all that, Bernard.
Yeah.
But we're looking at it from another point of view, because it is rather striking that he's chosen an awful lot of players who have a lot in common with him.
It's not striking at all. It's a fact. You just look at the season.
Yeah.
The whole season.
Yeah.
And that's how he chose his team.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to do with the.
Right then, isn't it a colossal coincidence? Okay, that Bobby Robson, a Geordie.
Yeah.
Filled his side out with Geordies and Northerners.
Yeah.
And Glenn Hoddle, a Southerner, has stuffed his side with Londoners and Southerners.
Yeah, but
isn't it strikingly coincidental to you? That's what it must be, Bernard. Good Lord.
It's to do
what a shift in footballing ability over the last 8 years. It's all come dripping down from the north down to the south. Extraordinary, Bernard, or maybe there's something more to it than that.
Yeah, it only shows one thing.
Yes?
The Northerners at the moment are not doing very well in football, aren't they?
Right. Free call 0500 1053 89. Kevin calls from Sheffield.
Hi, Tommy. Gaza was dropped because he's a northerner with his own mind. That's my point. Now, like has been said, Hoddle is a puppet on a string from people upstairs from the FA that says he has been. If you look at the England team, there is no natural... Now, this is important for everybody out there listening to this radio. There is no natural talented footballer with a sense of humour. Doesn't exist, Tom. Now, if Gascoigne he's played for 1 hour...
Amazing, isn't it? When you start talking about football, everybody gets onto their own agenda. This has been your agenda for about 2 weeks, hasn't it, Kev?
It has, mate, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
I feel passionate about it. I'm a Sheffield Wednesday fan. Someone has to follow them before anybody else.
Oh, don't say the old somebody has to be. Honestly, that's sub-Paul Daniels. That is terrible. That is not good. Shouldn't grace this show.
Yeah, OK, he's been out on the beer, Tom, recently. But, hey, boy, so Sherry and all the other boys that hasn't been in the papers have all done it. It's just that the national papers who say Gascoigne is this, that and the other, in effect have destroyed him. If Paul Gascoigne is listening to this now, or Jimmy Five Bellies Gardner, this is the biggest challenge that Gaza's ever had, Tom. He's only 30. He's not an has-been. Not yet. And that's what Bill said. Gaza is a yesterday's man.
I'm drifting away here, Kevin. I've seen a bunch of people over your shoulder, and they look as though their conversation's more interesting than yours.
Maybe. Well, that's my point, Tom. He should have been there because of the morale. He's a natural player, and he's a natural comedian, and he should have been there.
Well, yes. Okay. Well, go on. Try a new thought. Then why isn't he then?
Because simple reason being, there was a northerner.
Bearing in mind what you've heard over the last half hour, which you haven't heard before.
Yeah.
I know we like to put our feet up when it's football, and we like to not think. Yeah. But thinking's good, you know. I mean, it was Ruud Gullit who said that football is played with your brain.
With your brain.
Brain.
Exactly. The thing is, the people upstairs, because of the media and people onto them, said to Glenn Hoddle, I think, Tommy, anyway, behind the scenes, let's really open it up, and said behind the scenes, he can't play because of the image that he's
Where do
got.
all your friends come from?
Sheffield. Yeah, but having said that, I've lived in London for 11 years.
Right, but all your friends come from?
Sheffield.
Okay. And where do you come from?
Sheffield.
Okay. And what have we just really sort of learned that might actually overlap with the conversation we're trying to have here?
No South Divide again.
No.
Go on.
People are tribal.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you get it?
Yeah, I did.
Have you got it?
Yeah.
Have you got a new thought?
Go on.
Oh, no, have you got a new thought in your mind then, now, that you didn't have 5 minutes ago?
Well, it's like I said, it's a tribal thing, isn't it? It's area to area. It's exactly what you're saying.
I love it. When you win an argument with a bloke and he realises what you're trying to say and he realises it's true, you know, he goes, oh, yeah, I mean, I know that. Yeah.
I want your job, by the way, Tom.
Well, you never get it, mate, because you're not bright enough.
Fair enough.
Nowhere near. And
Thanks
what's more,
for listening.
I'm going to... I wasn't really, but I'm going to invoice you for your new thought.
Go on, then.
Yeah, no, I will. Free call 0500 1053 89. If you just arrived at the radio, the point is this, and it's a simple one, but it's a very, very important one. We all form gangs of people that we're comfortable with because we can communicate with them. They're like us. We like people who are like us. We can deal with people who are like us. When somebody is not like us, we get frightened. Sometimes we start wars with them, or we pick on them because they're a different colour or a different gender or they speak a different language. We surround ourselves and have done since the playground. It's the first lesson for sure we learn for ourselves. Surround yourselves with people who are a bit like you. If your mum knows their mum, he's going to be your friend. If she comes from the same street as you, it'd probably be a good idea to have her in your gang. In any case, she likes the same pop band that you do. So we form little tribes, little herds like that. What's going on, of course, is that this happens in politics. We know it happens in Westminster because that's what the Palace of Westminster is. A home of several tribes, okay? But you really don't need a degree in sociology, period. You don't need a degree in sociology, but you don't need a degree in sociology to recognise that the England squad has been picked with tribal associations in mind. Nothing more or less than that. Glenn Hoddle can communicate with metropolitan southerners much more easily than he can communicate with the lads from up north. Simple as that. It's not a problem Scotland will face because they understand their tribes and they know when to lay down their weapons. Free call 0500 1053 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Across the UK, this is Talk Radio, the conversation of the nation. 1, 2, 3,
And Glenn calls from Manchester. You're on Talk Radio, Glenn.
Afternoon, Tommy.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with you about the point you were making about Glenn Hoddle only picking people from his own cultural background. I certainly think that's true of all England managers. I mean, you already given the example of Bobby Robson, and there was Alf Ramsey in '66.
Yep.
The main core of his team, Greaves, Hurst, Peters, Moore, they were all from London.
They were.
And West Ham and all that kind of thing. Yep. And with some players in the present England squad, you could only explain their presence there because of Glenn Hoddle's cultural background. I mean, Darren Anderton. I mean, the guy hasn't played for nigh on a season for Spurs, but he's still in the squad and Paul Gascoigne's out. Now, whether Gascoigne was fit or what, that's not what we're arguing about at the moment. What we're arguing about is the fact that Paul Gascoigne is a northerner and he's been kicked out, and Darren Anderton, who I don't think would be particularly match fit, is in. And the only way you can explain that is because he's of Glenn Hoddle's ilk.
If you set aside the goalkeepers, I make it there's only 6 or 7 flat caps in the entire squad. Alan Shearer, of course, Batty, Scholes, Neville, Owen, and then you've got McManaman,
Neville,
and then you've got to go, and then you've got 2 goalkeepers taking up most of the flat hats, Seaman and Martin.
Then
you get onto the Southerners.
Is Flowers from Blackburn or is he down south?
Flowers? No, he's a Cornish boy. You can't get much more southern than that.
Oh, I didn't know where he's from, because he's one goalkeeper I don't think should ever be allowed anywhere near the England squad myself, but...
Well, but he's a southern boy.
Yep.
He gets the gig.
Certainly is. But then again, Walker should have had a good shot as well, then, if he's southern.
Yeah.
He played for his old club as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when you come up with a theory like this, there's going to be a couple of glitches and you're going to get some flies in the ointment. But I always remember when England nearly reached the final in 1990... I've got a Geordie dad, you see, so he'll never let you forget it. And he was running around the house saying, well, it's not England, it's the Geordies. And he was damn right.
Yeah, he certainly was. But, I mean, Graham Taylor, I mean, he's pseudo-northern, I suppose.
I don't know where he's from. Where's Graham Taylor from?
I think he's from the Midlands somewhere.
I don't know. He does say things like, "Do I not like that?"
Well, I won't say what I think of him on the radio because it's not very nice, but...
we'll have him a bit north of the Midlands, I think.
Yeah, he was north of Watford, let's put it that way.
Yep.
And some of his team selections, I mean, you couldn't... You know, you couldn't put... I don't think that had anything to do with regionalism.
A lot of managers as well have been a bit miffed that Hoddle didn't stick a couple of their of lads in the squad just to be there. For example, the Coventry manager... Gordon Strachan says that Huckabee ought to have been in the squad, but he's a northerner. Well, not a southerner, not a soft southerner.
Yeah.
Ditto Chris Sutton. A lot of people have said Chris Sutton, best striker in the country after Alan Shearer, but instead you've got Les Ferdinand doing the deputy centre-forwards job, you know?
Well, I disagree with you on the Sutton thing. I don't think he's the best striker.
No, I said a lot of people will say that.
Yeah, he was...
Can't catch me, sorry.
Chris Sutton was the architect of his own downfall, really.
Yeah, maybe, but would it have been different if he'd been playing for a fashionable London club and if he'd been born in Ruislip? Maybe.
I don't know. You know, it's something we'll never know, isn't it?
Well,
really?
We've got the evidence in front of us.
Well, we can say that.
99% of Bobby Robson's side were northerners. And about 80% of Glenn Hoddle's squad are soft southerners. That's pretty conclusive, isn't it?
Well, I would say so, but then again, it's what you've been saying. If you can get on with a certain type of person, you're more comfortable with that, then I don't see, you know, to my mind, that will make the side more efficient, that make the side perform better.
All right, so 2 questions then. Does Glenn Hoddle, is he aware of his bias?
I think he probably is.
He probably is aware of his bias.
I think he probably is, yeah.
What does that tell us about the problems of running this country of ours, then?
At a political level, you mean?
Yes, generally.
Well, certainly...
You've got to coordinate these 2 tribes, the North and the South.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this word tribal, and at the end of the day, we don't use it, but we say regional, which is basically the same thing, but it's a funny thing of the English language. We use words that we feel more comfortable with, don't we?
Yes.
When we say tribal, we think of Celts and that kind of thing.
Well, that's why I use the word, really, because it's a lot more evocative. When I hear the word region, I just tend to think of the Anglian music. You know what I mean? Thanks for your call.
I mean, okay.
Yep.
Cheers, bye.
Sorry, I've got to crack on. Although it was a very nice chat. A word with Terry, who calls from Chelmsford. Terry, you're on Talk Radio.
Hello, Tommy, darling.
Darling?
I'd like to inject some sort of humour into this now. It's so sensible, isn't it? Men, talking about football, who's going to win.
No,
I have got the answer.
Talking about football.
Excuse me, I've got the answer. Would you like to know?
We're not talking about football, madam.
We are.
We are not. We're talking...
Well, you are.
We're not. We're talking about psychology. We're talking about what
can I talk about my psychology?
Oh, you'd like to talk about football?
And most women's psychology. Could I, please?
I thought you wanted to talk about football.
Well, I'd like to say who's going to win.
Yeah.
It's going to be the guys with the tannest legs. That's who's going to win. Yeah, it'll probably be Spain or Italy. Although we've got the nicest legs. We've got Tony Adams, who's got very nice legs.
I don't agree, actually.
Don't you?
No,
Who's got nice legs, then?
I think Ronaldo's got very nice legs.
Yeah, but he's not... Oh, no.
Yes.
Hairy?
Yes. No, very smooth. Did you not see the colour, the front of the Sunday Times colour sup?
No, I didn't.
Good abs,
no.
six-pack abs, and smooth skin.
Has he had them shaved recently or waxed?
No, I don't think he's a hairy man. He's a smooth man.
But don't you think Tony Adams has got the edge there?
No, Tony Adams... If I was a woman, Tony Adams would not be my dish.
It would be who?
If I was a woman, I'd go for Michael Owen.
He's a bit young for you.
He's a bit young for you, dear.
He's a bit young for me.
Yeah,
I'd miss it. I'd miss it. Yes,
fine,
exactly.
Right.
But I think Tony Adams...
Yeah, you fancy Tony
for
Adams?
Legs, yeah, for legs. And I think Italy or Spain will win. Because they've got nice tanned legs, haven't they?
Terry, thank you very much indeed for your call. When I was working in Brazil, there was football on the television. They've got 4 channels in Brazil. So I clicked on, and it was a pretty boring game, Bulgaria versus somebody or other. It was in the Olympics way back. So I clicked onto the next channel, and they were showing the same game, same cameras. So I clicked, all 4 channels showing exactly the same game. But one of the channels had 2 women commentators. And not being able to speak Portuguese that well, I couldn't quite work out why their commentary was different from the 3 sets of men who were commenting on the games on the other 3 channels. So that night I got talking to a bloke in a bar in Brazil, and I said to him, what is it about the channel with the women commentators? Oh, he said, that's the most popular channel on Brazilian TV for football. And I said, well, why is that then? He said, because those girls, those 2 women who do the commentaries on that channel, they don't talk about the football at all. They just talk about whether that moustache suits him, whether he's got a nice bum. Yeah, and it's huge, and it would work here, wouldn't it? Oh, God, it would work here. Oh, God, aren't we behind the times sometimes? Not only better at football than us, but better at television. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Talk Radio Cash Call.
Talk Radio is giving away stuff.
Talk Radio, the conversation of the nation.
Not beyond faking it, mind you. Perry calls from London. You're on Talk Radio. Perry, good afternoon.
All right, Tom.
Perry.
Not too bad, mate. I've got to say, you're talking a lot of crap with this tribal business, mate.
No.
Yeah, of course you are.
Try it on, then.
Boy, it's just not on. I mean, Glenn Hoddle's bent over backwards over Gascoigne, regardless if you think he should be in the team or not.
But he isn't.
Well, no, I mean, I would rather have him in the team on a bit of ability, but he's let himself down. You can't go out drinking.
Yeah, we've been round the block with this sort of
thought thinking... I just joined the conversation late, mate.
For weeks and weeks and weeks. The fact of the matter is, Perry, we deserve an explanation as to why there are so many people with a similar sort of background to Glenn Hoddle's in the squad. Just as when Bobby Robson was the manager, there were an awful lot of people with a similar background to him in the squad.
Well, you've got Merson playing. He's from London, but playing up north. Ince is up north. Lee's up north. Beckham's up north.
Don't be obtuse.
Yes, I mean...
Don't be obtuse. These men are Southerners, and they always will be Southerners.
Look, I can understand what you're saying, like, in a way, but... It's not through lack of...
What you mean is, good Lord, Tom, I'd never thought about it from that perspective before. That really deserves a little extra thinking on my part before I open my big mouth at a moment's notice. That's what you meant.
Well, no, well, Gascoigne, obviously something's gone on with two or 3 days to go that's changed Hoddle's mind.
Yes, now what might that be, bearing in mind that we are
Well, I think
talking...
the papers have not done him no good at all.
No, heard that one before.
No, where can you say that?
Everybody says that.
I mean, you see your wife in front of newspaper with another guy, all right, you split up.
Yeah, but we know all that.
Yeah, but it's still not...
I'm dealing in what we don't know.
No, Gascoigne's not in the mental state.
Well, we know all that. Well, what do you ring up a radio station and say that for 3 weeks late?
Well,
Come on.
It's not 3 weeks late.
Everybody's been saying that for ages.
Well, what about this Anderton business then? Would you have him in the team?
Well, but that's all old hat.
Well, if I tell you I wouldn't have Sheridan in the team.
What on earth made you think...
in the team?
What on earth made you think you needed to ring a radio station and tell them this?
Pardon?
What on earth made you think that a radio station wanted to hear this?
Well, I've been away for 3 weeks.
So you thought nobody had thought these things then?
No,
you'd better pop them up there. Where have you been?
Hey?
Where have you been?
You can't say, mate, you know what I mean? The old woman might be listening.
Yeah, all right, thank you, Perry. God, dear. Tony calls from Nottingham. Tony, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy. Yeah, I do actually agree more or less. I do think that people do tend to gravitate towards people that are similar to them.
Yeah.
And actually, just to go further on from that, Glenn Hoddle is a sort of a born-again Christian. Do you think that perhaps, he's sort of, how can I put this, sort of omitting people from the squad that are morally questionable as well? I mean, I'm thinking about Paul Gascoigne.
I'm not sure if he is a born-again Christian.
Oh, yeah, Glenn Hoddle is, yeah.
I'm not sure if that's what he says he is.
Well, he's got strong religious beliefs, put it that way.
But a born-again Christian is one thing.
Well,
and I'm not sure whether he says that's what he is.
He's very Christian in his values.
Well, again, I'm not sure whether that wouldn't be deserving of argument, what you've just said there.
Well, to give you another example, Dennis Wise perhaps would be a...
Well, you didn't give me an example before.
Yes, I did. Well,
what you did was you categorised Glenn Hoddle as a born-again Christian.
On a bit of a moral crusade with Paul Gascoigne to actually try to sort of to get him to perhaps change his ways and become sort of a bit more of a goody two-shoes. And when he sort of didn't measure up, I mean, it's just really following on from what you're saying. I mean, I'm just saying that... No, following on from what I'm saying...
Following on from what I'm saying is he found it difficult to communicate with Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah. But because they're perhaps, their lifestyles are so different.
No, because they're the way in which they communicate is different.
Mercer, for example, is a bit of a shock sort of inclusion in the squad, and he's somebody that's recently sort of radically changed his lifestyle, isn't he?
And he's a Londoner.
And he's a Londoner as well, yeah.
Yes. The issue about
Does Glenn Hoddle feel uncomfortable around people that are perhaps a bit boisterous, a bit jovial,
the issue of, with respect, Tony, the issue of moral ineptitude, okay, has been run round the block so much this last month, it has run out of steam. A new way of looking at the whole issue is what's called for, and it seems to me that there is a possibility...
Well, I think you should combine the two, you see.
...that we pick our friends.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Did you ever pick up sides when you used to play football?
Sorry?
Did you ever pick up sides when you used to play football?
Yeah, true. Oh, yeah, I'm not disputing
what
that.
What do you mean,
do
true? What's the point,
people
then?
that are like you.
Exactly.
Well, I'm just saying that I think that you also, Glenn Hoddle, is perhaps, being as he has got these strong Christian beliefs, is perhaps not so sympathetic towards characters.
Well, I know, Tony, but my point again still is that we know that, and that conversation has been had everywhere. Every phone-in show you want to listen to has had that point made 1,000,000 times.
Oh, have they?
Yes.
All right, then.
And if we're going to make a success of this World Cup, which we are going to blaze a few trails at least. Damn it all, if I have my way. Of course, it remains to be seen whether I do. Stand by for Peter Dealey and Britain's fastest-moving drive time. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.